Hello everyone, I'm Lightspear9 at GigsJaw, and welcome back to the Slender Tutorial Series. In this episode, we are going to put a static effect over the camera when the enemy gets near. This was requested by somebody in the comments, so I'm going to do how I think. This is my first time doing this, so we're going to figure this out together, alright? Make a new folder and call it Materials. We already have one. So in our materials folder, we are going to create a new material and let's call it static. So what we're going to want to do now is let's just import our static texture. I got this from Google. It's a 1920 by 1080 static size. Should be fine. Let's get a texture sample. Texture sample. And we need a panner. Something like this. And then a text coordinate, I believe. And then on the speed, let's just put 500 and 400. And then copy this and do 400, 500. Make sure to make the material translucent, and we need to multiply these. And then I believe it's something like power. Type in 0.4, put this into base color, press the 1 key and click, type in 0.5, drag this into opacity, and this should work. We should get a sort of staticky effect. Let's yeah, there we go. Let's set it to be the plane. Nothing's showing up, but if we go back to the circle and let it load in, we see we have a static effect. Now let's test that over our character. So what we're going to do is go to our third person character or whatever character you have set up and over our camera we're going to add a new component, and what is it? I think it might just be a plane. So add a plane, and we're going to call this static. You don't even have to name it, but I'm just going to call it static. Rotate this 90 degrees so it's completely blocking our camera view. And then we're going to put our static material. Static. Now let's test if we can actually see through it. There we go. There's obviously some clipping issues that we could probably fix if we just drag it a little bit further. Possibly. There we go. See, we have a static effect now. It actually looks kind of cool. This is my first time setting this up, so I really like that. So we could probably set the opacity based off of distance. As in, like, we can get the distance between the enemy and us, and the closer it is, the more, like, the more opaque it becomes. For now, I'm just going to get our enemy. And over our following enemy, we're going to put a circle sphere collision and make this decently sized. Let's make it a little bit bigger. We can have two effects, right? So what we can actually do is, if we make this 1, so that means the opacity is completely opaque, you can't see through it. We can set the opacity based off of whichever one of these that we overlap. So with this one, we'd probably want to set it to be like let's make it just a little bit bigger. If we get this, we could probably like set opacity set alpha. I don't want to set the visibility. I want to get the specific opacity. Okay, let's cheat instead. What we're going to do is, this one will be our 0.25. And then we're going to duplicate this material. Let's go back to our material. Duplicate this, and we'll call it static. Static like static. I don't know, static 2, or just something to, so we can know that this one is going to be our 0.5 or 0.75. So now, if we, under our third person character, if we, right here, event actor begin overlap, cast following enemy, let's get, what do we call this? Just sphere. Get sphere, or get component, sphere, get child component sphere. No, let's see if we can do this from the enemy. Yeah, okay, I have an idea. So, we're going to create under our game mode, or third person game mode, we're going to create a new variable. No, we have a Slender game mode. We have a custom one. We're going to create a new variable, and we're going to call this static 1. Create another one, call it static 2. Both these are going to be set to off. Now, under following enemy, we're going to, under our sphere, we're going to get component begin overlap. We're going to cast to our third person character. Right here, other actor, and then we're going to also cast to Slender game mode and get game mode, because what we're going to want to do is set static to be true, set static 1 to be true. Under our third person character, where our event tick is, let's create a sequence node, get a branch. We also want to cast our game mode here, so under our sequence, cast to our Slender game mode, get the game mode, and then get static 1. If static 1 is true, we're going to set the material of our static plane here to be static, or just regular static. On base, we're probably going to want this to not have one, so just come over here and hit clear. That's probably not good. So it's probably like a completely translucent one. Or, actually better yet, set this back to our static. And instead of setting the material here, we're going to set visibility. Set visibility. If it's true, we're going to set it to yes. If it's false, we're going to set it to no. Okay, we're kind of jumping around a little bit. Let's start off with this being not visible. So, visibility, no. Let's go into the game and go over to our enemy and see if it works. Our enemy is just over here. When we get a certain distance, it should... Well, we died. Oh, and I know why. It's because of our node right here. We have it set up so whenever we hit anything from the enemy, we are going to die. So let's just disconnect this for now, and we'll come back to the death later. I just want to see if the static works. Turns out we actually have to set it to be true, of course. Alright, there we go. Now we have a static. And then, we're we're going to put a second one where if we're like this distance, it's going to be even harder to see. So let's go set that up now. So under our following enemy, we're going to duplicate our sphere and then just shrink it down. I'd say that's probably good size. Then we're going to want to do the same exact thing. Component begin overlap. Cast do all of this stuff. But we're going to want to set static 2 to be true. Static 2 to be true, and then set static 1 to be false, because otherwise they're going to overlap on top of each other, and we don't want that. Yeah, and if we set static 1 to be true here, we also want to set static 2 to be false. Alright, now let's go and see... Oh, first we have to set up the programming for static 2. Yeah, yeah, we're just going to copy all this over, get static 2 with a branch, and then we're going to duplicate our static plane here, set our material to be static 2, and then just copy everything over like so, just with using our new static. This one says static 1, but this is our second one with the harder to see static effect. Then I have an idea for the death. Let's just see if all of this works. Okay, so I put it in on lit mode so it's easy to see. So we'll have our first static, and then we have our second static. That might be a bit too much, but as we walk away, yeah, no, this is impossible to see, and so we're gonna have to change the value. But as we walk away, static gets less, and we actually have to put a end overlap that changes this. So just grab our sphere, end overlap, copy this, and then set static 1 to be false. We don't want to grab this and set it to be true because we're leaving the area. So set 1 to be false, and then our other sphere we do the same exact thing, but with static 2. Again, there's probably a better way of doing this. I just don't have the skill to do it yet. If I find a better way, I'll let you guys know. But this is just the way that I came up with. I mean, it seems to work. Let's go test it out. So when we get close enough, we have the static, and then when we get far enough away, it goes away, and then we get even closer, we have more static. And for some reason... Oh, okay. When we set static 2 to not be true, over here, end overlap, static 2, we want to set static 1 to be true. Because if we are outside of static 2, we're still in static 1. And then if we're outside of static 1, we just set it. I don't know if it makes any sense, but this should fix it. Get close enough. Static, no static. Get even closer. Big static, little static, no static. Alright. Now we just have to change the value. You can change the static value like anyway to customize it. I'm just going to change the second one. You don't even have to do this probably. You could probably like actually figure a way how to set this. I'm just going to set this to 0.5. Yeah, so there's probably a way to like determine the distance between you and the enemy, which is actually how I'm thinking we're gonna do the death. When the distance between us and the enemy is like less than 10 or whatever, then that means he's on top of us and we are going to die. So we'll set that up in a second. I just want to see if the stack looks better. And there's probably like you could probably do the static the same way. The closer we are, the more opaque it gets. I'm just not sure how to do. There we go. That looks so much better. Because if we're in this distance, we know we're gonna die, we don't need to see anything, or we're just gonna run away anyways. So I like that. And you could also do the same thing with music, where we put a circle around him, and when we get close, or when he gets too close, we'll just hear music. So now let's figure out a new way to do the death. Under event tick, no, on the enemy. Go to the enemy and grab event tick, and let's cast to our third-person character, and then get player character. Okay, hold on. Get distance 2. So we don't need the locations. I just deleted the node. We don't need this. We're just gonna get the distance from this, and then let's just say the other actor is get a reference to self. And if this is less than let's say like 7. I don't know how big 7 is. Then we'll try it, and then we can determine, or we can adjust the distance value as we test it. Turns out we are a lot closer than we thought. So under 85 is the number we want to go with. I just put a print string under false to see. Yeah, so we are a lot closer than I thought, but under 85 should give us our final death and end the episode. And end my bad tutorial, because I'm doing this stuff with you. I'm learning all this with you guys. I'm just showing you how I'm doing it. And there we go. He's got to be at a very specific angle. So let's just make it a little bigger. Let's just say like 100. That should be fine. Less than 90. All right. So that should be everything working. We got the static effect. We've got the death all fixed up. Yeah, obviously. So thank you guys for watching. I know I haven't been uploading these videos as consistently. I've been working on other projects. So I'll keep you guys up to date on those eventually once I get more work on them. So thank you guys for watching. Goodbye.